in Riyadh in May, the big fight in the history of boxing. In September, then 2 more fights in 26. Don't miss with the
TurkiAlalshikh has stunned the entire boxing world by announcing an unexpected rematch between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. This long-awaited showdown will now take place as the co-main event on the undercard of the Canelo Alvarez versus William Skull fight.
Ever a possibility where you would rematch Errol Spence? Or is he in a position where he needs to win again before that makes...
No one saw this coming. And it's not only great news for the fighters, who are set for a mouth-watering payday, but also for the sport of boxing and its fans. Errol Spence Jr.'s return has been highly anticipated, especially after rumors of a potential fight with Sebastian Fundora. Unfortunately, those talks fell through, leaving fans to wait even longer for the comeback of the former unified welterweight champion who once held titles from the WBA, WBC, and IBF.
I'm about to take my belt off then.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm gonna do it. Errol,
you don't need more than the belt. I don't know what you talking about. I ain't one of your kids.
I'm
you
gonna
don't
treat
need
you.
more than the belt. I ain't one of your kids.
I'm treat you like one.
Yeah, all right, we gonna see.
All right, we definitely gonna see.
I got feel for his power. Probably like first, second round. He's a strong dude, but everybody at this top level have some type of power. But
on Terence Crawford's side, it has also been a major topic of discussion. Boxing fans had been hoping he would take a tune-up fight at either super welterweight or super middleweight before stepping into the lion's den against Canelo Alvarez. For the longest time, it seemed Crawford was willing to face Canelo without a tune-up, especially after he appeared noticeably heavier, reportedly weighing 186 lbs in a social media post. Still, many believe this was the key difference between the fight 2 years ago between Crawford and Spence, as Crawford had taken a tune-up bout against David Avanesian before facing Errol Spence Jr.
I think because my time was out, he was catching me in between shots.
I get to say I told y'all because I've been asking for these fights for years, and y'all been saying, "Oh, he's too small. He's gonna get this. He's gonna get broken." And each and every time that I step up.
On the other hand, Errol Spence Jr. went into the fight without a tune-up, and the difference was painfully clear on fight night. He was knocked down 3 times before suffering the first loss of his career, a technical knockout at the hands of Terence Crawford.
Man, I got a lot of skill sets I feel like advantages over him. But at the end of the day, I feel like this fight is basically so even. It's going to be more about just being more focused and, not getting out of focus, especially in the later rounds, just making sure, staying on point all throughout the fight and making sure you don't lose focus, because that's how you end up getting caught.
This became a major concern for many Terence Crawford fans, who feared that the undefeated champion would be risking both his legacy and perfect record by stepping into a fight with Canelo without first facing a fighter at 154, 160, or 168 pounds. Crawford's struggle in his super middleweight title bout against Israel Madrimov made those fears more valid, as the Uzbek fighter proved too strong. Crawford's punches lacked the same power they carried in the welterweight division.
He didn't do the things that his daddy told him to do. What are you talking about? Even his daddy said it. Even his daddy said it.
You butthurt that I got to stop
Even his
it?
daddy said it.
You butthurt.
Even Kell Brook, he was already broken.
So was he broken when you fought?
No, he wasn't broken.
How come he
I broke the other eye.
He came off of...
I broke the other eye. Yeah, that's how I got broke. That's how I got broke.
He came off a stoppage.
What does it matter?
He came off a stoppage and then he fought...
Madrimov's punches were clearly causing Crawford some discomfort, and although he eventually came away with the win, many believe he didn't deserve it. Now, Terence Crawford has finally secured a proper tune-up fight, and boxing fans couldn't have asked for a better one. Even if Crawford is heavily favored to win, this is still a rematch of one of the biggest boxing showdowns in recent memory. More importantly, it serves as the perfect warm-up as Crawford prepares for the toughest challenge of his career this September.
What does it matter?
Months prior.
What does it matter?
So was he broken or not?
No, he wasn't broken. No, he wasn't broken.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
What you talking about? I had the same surgery he had, and what happened? So what they say about you then? You fight me then?
I'm gonna break that down.
So what they say? So I'm broken then, right?
Well, you broken. You're gonna be broken July 29th.
Yeah.
As everything boxing fans had hoped for, and it's exactly what TurkiAlalshikh had promised. Finally, the boxing world no longer has to wait for the return of former unified welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr.
Size, he's strong. He's the big bad wolf, you know. So come fight night, we're gonna find out, you know, all that he say he is. He's gonna have to show me.
But this will be your 8th fighter at welterweight.
Spence has not laced up the gloves since being stopped by Terence Crawford 2 Dao years ago for the undisputed 147-pound title. Following that loss, it seemed Spence would be moving up in weight to face World Boxing Council and World Boxing Organization light middleweight champion Sebastian Fundora. March 29th was initially set as the date for this contest, but the plan...
And there's the possibility. He win his fight, God willing. I win my fight, God willing. And there's your possibility right there.
Once the news about the Fundora fight falling through became public, Spence shared an update on his career via X, formerly Twitter. "I'll be back when I'm ready," he wrote. A fight between Fundora and Spence would have been an exciting matchup, with Fundora having his breakout moment in a tough battle against Tim Chu last year, which he won by split decision to unify the WBC and WBO 154-pound titles. TurkiAlalshikh, an avid boxing fan, promised that by 2025, he would bring several world-class fights to the table. The jewel in the crown could be the long-awaited showdown between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, which may be in the works for September.
I respect Crawford. He's a great fighter, and I always say that. No disrespect him, but you know, sometimes it's a little crazy that people talking about a small fighter like Charlo. He's big, which he is big, and everybody's talking about if I'm gonna face Crawford, fighter 147, who is smaller than Charlo.
7 of them have been stopped. Will Errol Spence Jr. get stopped on Saturday night?
I always tell everybody, I don't go in there looking for the knockout. I go looking for the win. But if he get out of line, he's gonna be the next one down.
Both fighters remained off Alalshikh's radar during a meeting in London last week, and it seems they have started the negotiation process for the long-awaited fight between two of the best pound-for-pound fighters today. The fight is scheduled to take place on the weekend of Mexico's Independence Day celebrations in mid-September, as reported by ESPN. ESPN boxing specialist Mike Coppinger noted, "From what I'm told, they're in the process of finalizing a deal for a fight in September during Mexican Independence Day weekend. It will be in Las Vegas, with a 168...
No make sense when you guys say that right now. At the end of the day, I don't want to have credit to face Crawford, but you know, you never know. You never know in boxing. I'll go up and down and fight everybody out there. So it's possible. Why?
However, there is one issue to be resolved. Crawford would need to make an additional 14-pound weight jump to match the weight and category of the Mexican fighter. Canelo has been moving up in weight over the years, starting out at super welterweight, where he won the WBC world title, and later becoming the unified middleweight champion. He made a brief stop at light heavyweight, defeating Sergey Kovalev to win the IBF belt before dropping back down to super middleweight, where he became the first undisputed 4-belt champion. However, former WBO and WBC light welterweight champion Tim Bradley doesn't believe either Crawford or Spence can derail the Bud train. Instead, he feels Crawford himself is the only one who could end his reign of dominance over the sport.
Terence wanting to move up 3 divisions, do you think his skill level is able to bridge the gap in those 3 weight classes? Because we saw how Jermell did against Canelo, and he's 1 weight class above, and he's bigger. How does he fare?
That's a tall order. It's a tough task, I would think, for Terence. But
I say Think the only person who can beat Crawford at this point is himself, Bradley told Fight Hype recently. Madrimov was the champion and must be respected, but as far as skill for skill, Crawford all day. I think he'll do well against Canelo, I really do. Would I be nervous if they were to fight? Hell yeah, because Canelo can punch, and all it takes is one big punch. But as long as Crawford uses his legs, his athleticism, and his defense to stay out of the way, he should be able to beat Canelo. Interestingly, Bradley believes Crawford can outbox Canelo just like Floyd Mayweather Jr. did 11 years ago when he defeated the Mexican star at 22 years old in a catchweight fight in 2013. Crawford, who is about to turn 37, has never fought above 147 pounds and would be stepping up in weight without having been tested at 168 pounds by the top contenders.
We'll bag him. I think that his skill level is up there with the greatest. I don't think we've seen anything like Terence Crawford. In all my years of boxing, I know that for a fact. I do study history. I've never seen anybody that has everything. Good speed, power, timing, can switch the way he switches, to have the
More fans would likely agree with Bradley if Crawford were willing to prove himself at 160 pounds against the top fighters and at 168 pounds to show that he can compete. Fans perceive Crawford as being in a rush to secure a huge payday against Canelo, aiming for a golden parachute that would ensure a luxurious retirement. This is the issue. The fact that he fought against Jermall Charlo, who came in at 154 pounds, said Tim Bradley to Fight Hype, reacting to Canelo Alvarez's statement that he's not interested in fighting welterweight Terence Crawford because there's nothing to gain from it. He moved up a couple of weight divisions to fight Canelo, went in there, and basically laid an egg. He didn't even try to win, he just survived. He seemed to feel like he wasn't on Canelo's level, but the difference is Crawford's mentality. He's a top pound-for-pound guy, said Bradley.
That he has, the way he finishes guys, the way he breaks down guys. He's one of the smartest guys that I've ever seen in the ring. Right up there with Floyd Mayweather. So, yeah, I would pick Terence Crawford to beat a Canelo Alvarez, even at 168. Everybody can call me crazy and whatever you want to say. I get it. Y'all didn't believe me when I told you about Spence, but trust me, Crawford will figure out a way.
If Crawford chose to prove himself against David Benavidez or David Morrell, you could be confident that he's not just showing up for the payday against Canelo without any intention of winning. Since Crawford has no plans to fight anyone at 168 pounds before facing Canelo, you can only conclude that this is about money and nothing else. Jermall Charlo was never a top pound-for-pound guy. It's Crawford's skill set that makes him stand out, said Bradley. He's a competitor, man, and he's been after Canelo. He wants to fight Canelo, and I think he'll do well against him. I really do. Now, am I nervous about the fight? Hell yeah, because Canelo can punch. That dude can punch, and all it takes is one shot. If he hits a guy like Crawford, who's moving up 3 weight classes to face him, it could change everything. However, just like we saw with Floyd Mayweather, he was able to outbox Canelo in 20.
I don't know, and I ain't gonna tell you why I would pick Terence Crawford, but it's part of the secret is the reason why I'm picking him to win the fight. So,
is it like a skill set? Is it like a preparation thing, or?
Nope, and not. Nope, I'm not. Just gonna put it like this: if the fight was to happen, you will see. Yeah.
Because a lot of people think Terence can compete, but once he touches Canelo, because he's been hit by bigger guys, he's not gonna.
Bradley uses Mayweather as an example to justify his argument that Crawford can overcome Canelo's size advantage and beat him, but we really don't know if that holds true. Canelo fought the welterweight Mayweather at 154 pounds. It wasn't a situation where Mayweather moved up to 168 pounds to fight a prime version of Canelo at full strength. However, Bradley feels confident in Crawford's ability. I think Crawford has that ability to outbox him, outthink him, make him miss, and make him pay, said Bradley. As long as Crawford isn't catching too many of Canelo's punches and you...
But he's going to be able to go, okay, I could walk through this. I could take a little risk and set up my traps, cut the ring off, dig to the body, and wear Terence down over the rounds.
I'm just going to tell you like this. Yeah. If Canelo couldn't knock out Charlo, do you really think that he's going to knock out Crawford? Charlo was on his bike. Charlo was trying not to get hit. Canelo landed some shots. He dropped them, but... He still didn't stop him. He didn't stop him. So
Canelo's slow, plodding forward style makes him a bit predictable. He's got a good jab, quickness, and throws a lot of hooks, but Crawford can evade all of that and get underneath. I think he should be able to beat Canelo, said Bradley. We're basing this on what Charlo was able to do, but Charlo didn't do anything. He was scared. He didn't want to get knocked out. I don't blame him. I get it. He didn't want to end it.
if Crawford can get off, not get hit with the big shots, avoid those big shots, get off again, avoid those big shots, because you see the punches coming. Canelo is so predictable, dude. You know a hook is coming. You know when the right hand is coming. You know he's going down to the body. He gives it away. There's a tail with him. There really is. And it's usually off the high guard. He comes in, he marches forward, then boom. Crawford's going to be able to see all of that.
While Canelo hasn't paid much attention to the challenge, the fans surely have, and they're divided on what could happen. But Sean Porter, who knows exactly what Crawford is capable of, says he's concerned. It's a tough fight to predict, no doubt. Just look at Crawford's dominant performance against an elite-level boxer.
Turn into kind of like a UFC system. How is it now you working with guys like Turkey?
I think, Turkey is great for boxing. He's stirring the boxing game up and, making all the fights that the fans want to see. He's a big fan, so he's able and capable of doing.
Last year, His Excellency TurkiAlalshikh made waves when he told ESPN, "Boxing is broken." Bold statement, right? But he wasn't just talking, he was taking action. Since 2022, the chairman of the General Entertainment Authority has been pouring his passion and a whole lot of money into the sport. As a result, he made Riyadh the go-to destination for major fights, from Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev, to for the undisputed light heavyweight crown to absolute blockbusters like Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua's clashes with Daniel Dubois and Francis Ngannou.
Marks our final day in boxing. I want to thank everyone who has been a part of this journey with me. To my dear friends scheduled to fight on the London and New York cards, I apologize for the time and effort you put into training camp. I wish you the best of luck in your future fights, as those events have now been officially canceled.
Promoters can't and don't want to do. A lot of fights that we want to see, but we don't want to pay for.
Right.
He's paying it. He's paying the fighters what they want.
Smiling a little different nowadays.
No, I'm just saying. I've been smiling good.
You been eating good. When you smile
Full of gold, you go all gold.
No.
And he didn't stop at Riyadh. His vision expanded to include events in the US and UK as well. But here's where things get interesting. After just a year of being one of the sport's most influential figures, rumors are swirling about his potential retirement. So, what's really going on? Let's break it all down. Yesterday, His Excellency TurkiAlalshikh took to X, formerly Twitter, and dropped a massive update. Well, boxing fans, it looks like the TurkiAlalshikh era has officially come to an end. In a heartfelt message, Alalshikh announced his retirement from boxing. He didn't just walk away quietly. His departure also came with some major cancellations.
Yours truly, Turkey. End of the quote. Nah, I ain't no genius, but coincidentally today is April Fool's, and I believe this is a big April Fool's joke. With that being said, there's no doubt about it, Turkey has brought boxing back to life on certain weeks.
See how relaxed his shoulders is back there on the couch?
See, this is the thing. I got a lot of investments, a lot of smart investments, so coming up, I was smart with my money, so a lot of people...
That his post read, "Dear fans, today marks our final day in boxing. I want to thank everyone who has been part of this journey with me. To my dear friends scheduled to fight on the London and NYC cards, I apologize for the time and effort you put into your training camps. I wish you the best of luck in your future fights, as those two events have now been officially canceled. Yours, Turkey." In his message, Alalshikh personally apologized to the fighters who had been training for those bouts, acknowledging all the time and effort they had put in. He wished them well in their future fights, but unfortunately, those two events just won't be happening under his watch. But let's be real. If you were paying attention, you probably already questioned the timing of the announcement. And yep, you guessed it, it was all an April Fool's prank. Some people totally fell for it, but a lot of fans saw right through it from the start. TurkiAlalshikh was just having some fun, pulling the strings to see who would take the bait. And let's be honest, he got a few of us, didn't he?